Welcome to this week's episode of Chop the Rock. I am Diana Long, Director of River Market Operations, and our guest chefs today are Jack Sundell and Monica, who are with The Root. And not only are you with The Root, but you also won the Cornbread Festival last year. So today they are going to talk to us about what The Root's got going on, as well as to share their famous award-winning cornbread recipe with us. So thank y'all so much for doing this with us today. I know everybody's super busy, so I appreciate the time.
And it's our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Well, let's get this going. I'm really excited about this gigantic pan of cornbread that you're about to...
Yes. So this is double what you'll normally make at home. And it's also vegan and gluten-free, so it's going to be a little different than your traditional southern cornbread. So I get to start off, I start with 2 bowls, one a little bit bigger, which everything's going to end up in, a small one for the wet ingredients, and then the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 sticks of vegan Earth Balance butter on the stove, and you'll melt that into the pan, and then you pour the cornbread batter into it, and so it gets kind of crispy on the bottom and the edges, and it coats the pan so that it doesn't stick.
And if you're looking for the Earth Balance at home, that's an ingredient you can find at Whole Foods or probably Natural Grocers, any of those types of grocery stores.
Okay.
All right, so while that's melting, I'm going to start with the dry ingredients. So you'll do equal parts of, and we use War Eagle for the gluten-free flour and for our cornmeal. So I'm going to do...
That's from War Eagle Mill and Rogers,
Yeah.
And they're a great sort of old-style mill. We get lots of stuff from them. It's always great quality.
This is the gluten-free, because I know there's a lot of people now with the dietary restrictions, and it honestly, you can't even tell the difference.
Got it.
And then I will do baking powder, so it'll get nice and fluffy.
So when you're doing the gluten-free and then the vegan butter, do those things cook any differently from... You have to adjust that?
I've found some difference in the different gluten-free flours. There's some that end up a little bit more dry. And the butter, though, in general, is a little bit sweeter. The Earth Balance, or not sweeter, it's saltier. So you have to kind of be careful with the amount of salt that you put in. But thankfully, this recipe has a lot of sugar.
Gotcha.
It seems like too much, but it's not too much because it turns out very good. So, so I did all of the dry, the baking soda, salt, flours, and then the sugar is actually going to mix in with the oil. And so this calls for 1 1/4 cups of sugar, which, like I said, seems like a lot, but it'll work really well with the corn and the salty butter.
And keep in mind, it is a double batch.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you were doing a single batch at home, it would really be
3/4 of a cup or
something
so.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Which, of course, there's the big debate about sweet cornbread versus savory cornbread, and
Right.
this is a lot of cornbreads, even in the South, where we don't typically prefer sweet cornbread, use sugar just as a flavor enhancer, just kind of like you would salt.
Right.
In the North, when they talk about sweet cornbread, they're really talking about something that's like as sweet as a cake.
Ooh.
And so it's, but they eat it with the savory meal.
Gotcha. So I know that, I've got some Louisiana family, and they do cornbread very differently. So they think that the Jiffy cornbread, and it's a lot sweeter than cornbread that I grew up on. So it's a funny family debate that we always go back and forth on the right cornbread. So it is. It's very unique to, depending on what you grew up eating with your family, to the region, even within the South, and it's a very Southern thing, to the region that you were in.
That's right. Yeah, if you don't want to argue about politics, you can always argue about cornbread instead.
I think that's a safer thing to argue about anymore, too. So.
Yeah, probably so.
All right, so I've got the sugar and the oil kind of acts as the eggs in this recipe since it's vegan. So it's quite a bit of... we use rice bran oil at The Root, and then I'm going to use soy milk mixed with 2 tablespoons or so, just like a little bit of vinegar. Let's pour it out, which kind of mimics buttermilk because it'll give it the tang.
That acidity.
Yeah.
Right. You
Which
said that
really
kind of,
need with all that sugar too.
So that's a vegan baking technique I've seen you use in other recipes too, right? If
Yeah.
you can sort of thicken, you get the effect of buttermilk by adding vinegar to a soy. Does it work with almond milk too?
I think it's just the flavor that it adds to it. I'm not sure about the actual thickening.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but I've used a lot of recipes that just adds like a tiny bit of vinegar, just
Okay.
or lemon juice. I've seen people use lemon juice too,
There,
just
you
to
get
have that tangy.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna whisk the dry stuff together, and then now that this is all ready, they can get mixed. And yeah, that's bubbling away on the stove. Looks pretty good.
Good deal. And so y'all won the award, as we mentioned when we first started the show, that this is an award-winning cornbread.
That's right. It did win an award.
It did. It won a great little award at a fun event that is hosted every fall in the South Main area, right around Bernice Garden, which is incidentally right across the street from the Root.
Right, it's very close, just catty corner to us. The Cornbread Festival, it happens every fall. It's usually late October, early November, and it happens on Main Street, so it's a nice street festival. They close Main Street, and it runs usually from 13th Street down to 15th Street.
Okay.
And you'll have lots of different vendors. I think this year it actually went down to 16th, so 3 blocks.
Okay.
You've got lots of food vendors. You know, you've got your cornbread entries, professional and amateur. Then you've also usually got like food trucks and other food tents, you know, where you actually just get lunch.
Because they run out of cornbread.
Well, they do usually. There's usually a lot.
There's so many people at this festival, and so you know, you can go and I've probably seen people with like the muffin tins so that they can try as many as possible.
That's called the soup Sunday technique.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is always my favorite part.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a lot of butter, but what's really good about it too, and I like to, and you don't want to overmix it. It looks a little bit dry, but it'll all. If you overmix it, it kind of just gets dense instead of fluffy.
That's happened to me before.
And because there's so much butter, you can like swirl it on top, so then you get a good like buttery crust on top too.
Yeah. I cheat. I put my iron skillet in the oven while the oven's preheating, and then just pull it out, and the whole thing is hot, and I pour the stuff in there, and it goes, and it makes the brown around the edges.
Yeah, and you can see where already that rim is starting to cook. You know, when you pour it into that hot butter. I mean,
the oven technique, I do that sometimes if I think ahead enough, and I'll just put the butter in there in the pan. All right.
So cool.
So that's it.
So registration, let's talk a little bit more about the Cornbread Festival before we move on. This has to cook for how long?
At 375 for about 30 to 40 minutes. I usually check it after about 20, 25. And then I'll put it.
Your fork clean, knife clean that comes out.
I don't even. I mean, I've made it so much now that I just can kind of look at it and tell. And you can see if the center is still jiggling. It's obviously not ready.
Gotcha.
But I'll usually lift it up to the top after
so it doesn't
20
burn
minutes
on
or so.
On the bottom.
Well, you want to get like kind of brown on the top. So
gotcha. So
normally that ends up with a good balance between the two.
Okay, cool. That's a good tip too. Not something I think about at home to get that brown.
Yeah. I think sometimes we broil if it needs a little bit. If you broil it for just like, I've burned it before.
Too far.
Yeah.
So be careful with that. But to get that really pretty brown on both sides.
So that it looks like it's really like it, you know, it cooked, but then you don't want to leave it in the oven long enough to get that brown because then it would be dry.
Right.
So that's kind of a trick you can use just to put the flame on the top and just get that browning.
Gotcha. So this is a non-traditional recipe for more of a traditional tasting cornbread. So among the participants, are there, like I grew up eating, we ate Mexican cornbread, we ate cornbread that had all kinds of stuff in it sometimes that was just almost made like a casserole. Are there competitors who are putting in cornbread recipes for the competition that are not your purest cornbread?
Sure, you do see lots and lots of different kinds of cornbread, and some people add those ingredients to the cornbread just to make it more interesting. Some people do a very traditional cornbread, and then some people do more of a composed bite. So you have your separate ingredients, but you build a bite and serve it to people that's like cornbread on bottom. What we actually do, the bite that we did that was our championship bite was the cornbread with shiitake mushroom. That's like a pickle and smoked shiitake mushroom.
Yeah, they taste like barbecue because they're pickled in a bunch of like yellow mustard and onion and garlic and bay leaves. And then we smoke them so they taste really meaty.
It's like almost like bacon. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then a pickled purple jalapeno relish that goes on top of that, and then a little bit of collard greens. And we topped it off with just a touch of that.
The pimento vinaigrette.
Right, the Pimentel Vinaigrette. So we were actually handing everyone that whole
a
composed
bite,
bite.
Yeah.
of what essentially is an entree
Yeah.
that y'all have on the menu at the Root, which is what we'll put together a little bit later on after our cornbread is done. So
That's right.
Okay, so that's super cool. So you have y'all one for the professional division, but there's also an amateur division.
That's right, there is.
So you could win up to like $1,000 for first place, and I think it's maybe $350 or so for second place. But then they
I
also
think it's
have a
$500 for second place, yeah, and then best side dish gets $250.
That's it. And so this past year, y'all, not only did you win the professional level of the cornbread, but also the side, like you swept the whole thing. You won the side dish.
We did. We were very fortunate. The crowd that came to the Cornbread Festival really liked what we did this year. The side dish that we served was a really delicious beet cracklin. So it's like a imagined pork cracklin, but it's made from a beet puree that is thickened with a tapioca starch, and then it's dehydrated. And then from that dehydrated state, when you put it into the fryer, it puffs up like a pork cracklin does.
And it doesn't taste like beets, right?
Well, it's not strong
It
of
kind of
beets,
does.
but it's got a very
It's just the beet juice in it, but
Yeah.
Right,
it's a
but you get
technique
this-
that our chef uses a lot with like.
Right, and it's
Any-
actually, that's something on our dinner menu as well.
I'll have to
One of
come
our
back and try that
appetizers is
then. I
you
haven't
can
tried that one.
He'll do it with beets or carrots or turnips. Make these really beautiful vegetable crackling, and they're vegan as well, so
Cool.
it's
Yeah.
really fun. Yeah,
It's similar to like a veggie stick, like those
Yes.
puffy.
That's right,
but
veggie
they're
straws,
more airy.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to come and try that. I did try. The reason that I asked it tastes like beet is because one of our recent shows we did with the Green Corner Store, who's your neighbor across
right.
the street.
Yeah, Shelly.
And so Shelly sent Emily, who is their tea expert now. So they converted to the tea bar. Anyhow, so she had some. Was like rock sugar, but it was a beet extract sugar that they had, and it was delicious, but it didn't taste like beet, so that's why I was kind of curious about that.
You know, beet sugar is actually sort of that's a major source of sugar besides cane sugar. There's cane sugar that comes from warmer climates, but in most of the northern United States, if they produce sugar, they're making it from beets.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
sugar
sugar
beets.
beets.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
They're not necessarily the same as the red beet that you would eat.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So just to follow up on the Cornbread Festival, registration opens for that on April 1st. So at this point, whether you're a professional, whether you're an amateur, if you've got your grandmother's recipe at home and it's the best cornbread hands down you've ever tasted, enter the competition. You got to make a lot of cornbread though, because this is a big event.
Right.
And lots of people come through. I do know the last time I attended, I didn't get there first thing. And by the time I worked my way halfway up that long winding line, they were like, sorry guys, we're out of cornbread. And so thankfully they had the food trucks and so I was still able to eat. But
Well, I will say, if you've been in past years, they've really done a good job of making the festival and the layout a little more audience friendly.
Oh, good.
So that you don't wait in one long line to get through to all the competitors.
Oh, you can
They
individual.
have different stations, so there might be a shorter line at this place and a longer line here, and you can do your cornbread here first and then walk over here. But that way you don't end up just waiting and then eating all your cornbread at once. So you
Gotcha.
kind of mosey around, and it's such a fun family-friendly day. I mean,
Yes.
it's one of the nicest festivals in Little Rock to me, because you go and you can, it's free to get in. I think you pay a little bit if you do want to sample, and you get a little ticket card. But you've got all this fun stuff going on, not just in the festival, but then all the businesses around do fun stuff on that day, to, specials, or they'll set up a, kind of a street kiosk or something like that outside of their business. And then you get to taste all this fabulous cornbread. And, it's something you can just bring the whole family, spend the day, and leave really satisfied. I think we
awesome.
get 4,000 or 5,000 people out usually for the festival.
yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So you can visit, let's see, it is the ArkansasCornbreadFestival.com. They also have a Facebook page, so go and be sure and like that. That way you can keep up to date on the festival information, and remember that registration is April 1st. All the details that anyone would need about that are listed on the website. And, if you're not familiar with Soma, I encourage you to get down there. That's a great way to really get to know the neighborhood, and also to get to know the Root, which is what we're going to talk a lot about next. So you guys serve this cornbread on your menu as part of like an entree that you have.
Yeah, during dinner.
During dinner, right. And so you also have a lot of other items on your menu. You focus on this local sourcing, anything that you can, and not everything at the root is vegan or vegetarian. So we're gonna look next, we're gonna do a burger with you.
That's right, a cheeseburger.
That you can get at the root that is absolutely fantastic. Very good. Well, we'll be right back.
Ranked among the nation's best value cities for travel and its most travel-worthy state capitals, Little Rock is known for its southern charm and hospitality. Request a vacation planning kit at littlerock.com and see why we say getaways are better with a southern accent.
We're back from our little break, and now we have set up here to do one of the most popular menu items that you have for lunch or for dinner.
That's right, the most popular.
The most popular, which is your cheeseburger.
That's
so
right.
let's kind of talk about all of these ingredients, because again, one of the things that y'all really is your mission is to do everything that you do and it all be as locally sourced as possible.
That's right. From the time we've opened, our mission has been building community through local food. So we source as much as we possibly can from small farms and producers in the state of Arkansas. For us, because we're in Little Rock, we define local as from the state of Arkansas. It just works well geographically.
Yeah.
So when we put a burger together, we're trying to put as many Arkansas ingredients on that as we possibly can.
Okay.
First of all, we start with a patty that comes from Simon Farms. We get a whole cow at a time from Simon Farms. They're outside of Conway.
Okay.
And we grind it in-house, patty by hand, and then we put that on a bun that is from Community Bakery, which is right up the street from the root. They're right at Main Street and the interstate. Our cheese currently is not local. It's a Wisconsin cheddar. And if anyone is interested in getting involved in the local food scene and isn't sure what is missing, great cheese on the local food scene is a really important niche that isn't completely being filled right now. So
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
so definitely local dairy. We're still catching up, but I think there are some really good products coming out of Elkins, Arkansas, White River Creamery.
Yes.
They do a great job.
Yes, I've heard of them.
But they don't do a cheddar right now, so they don't have a good cheese that works for a burger.
Gotcha.
So when it comes to condiments, our burger is going to have Dijon mustard, our house garlic mayo, dill pickles, and grilled onions on it, and then also some of the spring mix. The spring mix we get from Arkansas Natural Produce in Malvern. That's also what makes up our side salad. The Dijon is not local or homemade. The mayo we make in-house. We start with farm fresh eggs, which we separate. So this is a house-made mayo from local egg yolks. The dill pickles we slice in-house. We don't make those. The grilled onions, we get those local for about 3 to 4 months of the year.
Right, when they're in season.
Right, when they're in season, and for a storage period afterwards.
Right.
We have a farmer that grows as many as she can for us and then stores as many as she can, and then about 3 months after she's harvested everything, they get to the end of their storage life. So,
right.
And then we do a little side salad topper. These are some Hakurei turnips, and we put that on the side salad with our house dressing.
Cool.
So, starting out, we just butter a bun and throw it on a flat top grill, let it toast for a little while.
Gotcha.
And then after that, we grill the burger patty, and I'm just going to do both at the same time,
Sure.
so we can dress the bun.
Sure. So while he's doing that, let's talk a little bit, because y'all, we've talked about the fact that you have a great dinner entree in the cornbread that is in the oven, and so we'll get back to that in a minute. We've got this cheeseburger that is on the lunch and the dinner menu, but y'all also have a fantastic breakfast and a super popular brunch.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about maybe some of your breakfast offerings that are your most popular and the times that y'all are open for that.
I would say definitely the biscuits and gravy is a hit, and because we make the biscuits every day from scratch. They're buttermilk drop biscuits, and they're super good, and they're always really fresh. And I think the main thing is like it's mostly simple things except for our we have like an egg version of a banh mi,
which is delicious.
Yeah, it's very good.
Probably my favorite thing, and I feel healthy about eating it because of all the vegetables.
Yeah, and it really is. And I consider eating locally like it's healthy for you, even if you're eating egg yolks, whatever hollandaise. If you're eating food that's not covered in pesticides and coming from super far away. So, and you're also like supporting your community, which is nice.
Right.
But yeah, our gravy is really good, made from scratch in like small batches every few days, and so that's probably our number one. I love the sausage biscuit, just like straight up sausage patty on a biscuit. That's one of my favorites. Still a lot of like the sausage, egg, and cheese, and the eggs, because they're fresh, they're just so much better.
They taste so different.
You
from
can
a
tell the
supermarket
difference.
egg.
Like
Really.
the yolks
The
are
color.
orange.
Yeah, it looks
Sometimes
almost
they
like
look like
cheese.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
our hollandaise sometimes looks like that.
Yeah, our
so
hollandaise is amazing. Really, what am I missing? I mean, our pancakes. People love our pancakes. I'm not
Right.
I don't normally eat pancakes for breakfast, so I didn't think about it, but like those are a big hit, and they're just buttermilk pancakes, like standard. But we use real maple syrup on the side and whipped butter.
That
We do
already
vegan
smells good.
pancakes.
It's just a bun.
Yeah, it's toasted bun with
There's
some
not even
on
butter on it, but it smells
it.
good.
Oh no, I put some butter on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We slipped it in. We weren't looking. We were talking about. And so Sunday brunch is another thing, and it's your regular breakfast items, and then do you also offer some lunch items on the
Yeah,
on the
on
brunch?
Sundays we add a bunch of specials that we only do on Sundays.
Gotcha.
We actually, French toast, for example, is a brunch item that you'll only find on Saturday mornings and on Sundays.
Gotcha.
And Sunday brunch is from 9 to 2. We do breakfast and brunch all day. We recently started doing bacon all the time, so farm fresh bacon from Rabbit Ridge and Bee Branch, and then also from Grassroots Co-op in Marshall. So now, even on weekday mornings, you can come in and get a side of bacon with your breakfast.
And the French toast, we get the challah from
That's coming from Boulevard right
Boulevard
now.
now, and so
And
it's
they're
like a
also right
really
across the
rich
street.
French
Right.
toast.
Right, their bakehouse is just right there. That's super.
right.
That's
So
easy
good.
sourcing right there. We
I know,
just
it's
walk
great.
Right down the street.
Yeah, a lot of good camaraderie in the South Main neighborhood.
It really is. It really is. Okay, so like I've tried to come to brunch. We were kind of talking about this off air just a minute, and you really need to get there. And don't let the line intimidate you. Jack was telling me, because
That's
I've gone
right,
when
yeah.
it not necessarily is a pretty day, and you don't want to stand outside in a line in the rain. And this was before the expansion too. So
Right, we have a lot more seating now than we used to. So.
you really do, and it's such a quaint restaurant. So you'll notice some of the dishes here, like you just have this really eclectic collection. It's all real, very homey, super comfortable feeling, and so you're gonna get a high-end food experience with the quality of the food and the kinds of things that you have on your menu, but it's super casual, relaxed environment to go in and do that. That's probably one of my favorite things about the Root is that, you can go in and, like I said, have a high-end experience and be comfortable while you're doing it.
That's what I love about dinner too, because it's just a different vibe at night down there, with like the lights. It's got a nice ambiance, and it's not so packed out crazy.
And people aren't in a hurry either.
Yeah,
at
it's because
dinner.
it's table service, so you don't have to wait in line,
Right.
which is nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
and we're currently applying for a mixed drink license.
Because right now you serve wine.
We serve wine and beer right now. All of our beer is from Arkansas breweries, so we do all Arkansas craft beer.
Lots of choices
And then-
there.
That's right. And then we also do wine. Our wine is not local, but it's from either certified organic or from organically grown grapes.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
then soon we are going to start doing mixed drinks, which we'll be making with Rocktown Distillery Liquors.
Who's also about to be a neighbor.
That's right. They're going to be our new neighbors down
That's
there, so
right,
we're so
that's
excited
right.
about
They're
that.
so good. I
They
love
really
them.
are.
They're
They really
good.
are.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So I'm going to give that about 15 more seconds. Go ahead and get the
smells
side
wonderful.
salad ready over here. And then we'll put our dill pickles on the bottom. I've already put a little bit of Dijon on the bottom, and our house garlic mayo, a little bit on top, a little bit on bottom, and then some grilled onions.
The mayo is the secret ingredient to everything. It's so good.
Yeah, and it's actually the base for a few of our other things. So, for example, our buttermilk dill dressing, which we serve with some of our salads, is it starts from that base of that house garlic mayo,
Or the
same
infamous
thing.
mayo.
That's right, our spicy mayo that we use for. I'm turning that off. The spicy mayo that we use for our sweet potato fries. That also starts from our mayo. And if you ever get a chance to get a Reuben at the Root, we make that Thousand Island. We make our own homemade Thousand Island, and we start with the house-made garlic mayo for that too. So that's a really great sandwich. Now, one thing you'll notice is missing from this burger is tomato. Since it's February in Arkansas, you're not going to find any local tomatoes.
Nope.
So our opinion on that is that if we can't get a good local tomato, then the burger is better off without a tomato. We don't just put it on there for
I don't
color.
eat out-of-season tomatoes.
They just don't do it. You know, they just
There's no flavor.
Right,
Yeah.
there's no flavor. It doesn't taste great.
They're not even red
Right,
on the
a lot of times they
inside.
don't look red inside when you kind of like strawberries are the
They
same
look
way.
white, yeah, just like
Yeah,
a strawberry
so-
when it's
Dried out.
Right.
So I absolutely agree with that philosophy right
Yeah.
there. I only want like a farm fresh, for real, in season tomato, and I will wear myself out on tomatoes during the summertime.
That's the thing
I'm so
to do.
excited about them.
And then by the time they're gone,
Right.
you're tired of them anyway. And
Yeah.
then as soon as they come back, you're craving them. You know, so that's the way that seasonal food is supposed to be. You know, you're supposed to miss it while it's gone, eat it while it's here, eat as much of it as you can, get tired of it, and then it goes
Move
away.
on to
and
the
then,
next one.
And then you've got collard greens coming in. You know.
So good, yes.
Yeah. So this is the burger at the Root Cafe that you might get if you order it at lunchtime. At dinner, we have a couple of other more dressed up versions. You can also add bacon to our cheeseburger. We were going to have a pimento cheeseburger as well.
Ooh, that's
at
great.
dinner time with a green tomato relish. So there's lots of great options. But it's a dish that we're really proud of because we put a ton of intentional work into sourcing those ingredients locally. And I think in the end result, it really shows.
It shows. It's a beautiful burger. It smells delicious. The cheese is all melty. The bun is even gorgeous too. And you know, they say that if you're kind of trying to watch what you eat, you know, you can still have a burger. But don't get a burger and fries. Get a burger and a side salad, and you're gonna get up from the table physically feeling better than you would if you had just carb loaded with all of that. And so this is a great way to plate up and offer a burger. But you do offer some fries if somebody wanted. You have sweet potato fries?
We sure do. Sweet potato fries and regular French fries. We've cut both of them in-house.
Okay.
Our sweet potatoes are from Arkansas Sweet Potatoes. And those are one of the things that I'm most proud of on our menu because so much work goes into them. For our sweet potato fries, we peel and cut the sweet potatoes.
Which are not easy to peel
No.
or
That's
cut.
right. We've gotten pretty good at it, but yeah, it takes a lot of practice. So then we hand cut the sweet potato fries. We wash them in a sink 3 different times to get out a lot of the starch.
Yeah, they seep that out more
That's
so
right.
than a white
Yeah,
potato.
the first time you put them in there, the water almost becomes milky. It's so white, so much starch is coming out. So you wash them, transfer them to a different basin of clean water, wash them again, transfer them back to another basin of clean water, wash them a 3rd time. Then we soak them overnight. Then in the morning, we drain them, we par cook them in the fryer, cool them off, and then when you order them, they go into the fryer for one last time to crisp up the outside.
Right.
So there's
that is a lot of work.
There's a lot of work that goes into those, but again, I think the work is definitely worth it. You can taste it in the end because you get a nice, perfectly cooked exterior with the inside not being overcooked, and then we dip it in the spicy mayo that we make from Sparkling River smoked Marconi peppers and our house-made garlic mayo. So.
I like that because I like a savory sweet potato as opposed to, I think you said, you know, you're not big on like a pancake in the morning.
Yeah.
Some people are savory people, some people are sweet people. I'm a savory person. And so a lot of times you'll go to just a regular chain restaurant and they're trying to do the cool thing and offer sweet potato fries and like they've beer battered them and then they serve it with some
Like honey or something.
Yeah, and I'm going, no.
Yeah, even ketchup can be a little too sweet for sweet potato fries.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's
I'm
why we wanted to go with
anti-
something more
ketchup and
savory.
sweet potatoes.
Yeah. So anyhow, so I love that you do. And I'm gonna come and eat and try those, knowing that that's the process now, because I think that that's gonna make a huge difference. And even the texture on the inside, I think it probably turns into a lighter fry, like a standard would be probably.
Exactly. Yeah, you get that nice texture inside too.
Good deal. So
Yeah.
this is a good transition into the next thing that you were going to show us. I don't know is our cornbread quite ready yet? Do we need to check that?
I need to check it. I might need to put it up on the top rack, but
We've got. You want to?
Are we gonna taste this cheeseburger? I missed breakfast today.
You are welcome to. You want to? Eat it?
Dig in. You want to take a bite?
I'll take a bite of it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I am not a germaphobe either, so you can just take another bite too.
No, I don't mind. Yeah.
oh, this might be ready actually.
Oh, good. It should
The messier, the better.
It should drip on you a little bit. If it doesn't,
absolutely
you should wonder what's going on.
That's right. That's right. If you get a burger, oh, so good.
Is it? I'm gonna take a bite too to see how we did.
Yeah, it's got a great flavor. It's not over seasoned.
Yeah.
Everything's just really complimentary in there. I might wait till tomatoes are in season though, because I know that'd be.
Oh, yeah, it really adds something.
Oh yeah.
So-
Those heirlooms are the best.
It really is something. We get, for the most part, we get our tomatoes from Tasty Acres Farm in Scott, Arkansas. They grow the most beautiful red, juicy tomatoes.
Oh man, I
Because
can't
they're
wait.
grown with love. I love Tasty Acres.
That's right.
They're the sweetest.
That's cool. Very good. Well, it looks good. It tastes good. I mean, you can even see where we took bites off of this, and it all just bounces right back. I mean, you don't get that in a fast food kind of situation.
No, I mean, the bun, a good homemade or fresh baked bun can really make a big difference with a burger. I mean,
Just the texture of it, that lightness inside, and it keeps that crust on the outside is a big deal.
That's right, yeah.
Very good. So this is gorgeous.
Actually, perfect. Thought it was going to take a little bit longer. But yeah, it's nice and brown on top, and you can tell it's still moist inside, but not gooey. So
Smells great.
So a trick that I think my mom taught me was, because I'm going to make a pan of cornbread that's half the size at home, and I'm still not going to eat it all in one setting.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little bit dried out, and you don't want to keep it in a Ziploc because then it tastes like the Ziploc essentially. So that's, so she told me that if I either, when I guess I was learning to do it, either had a tendency to dry it out or needed to preserve it better to be able to eat the next day, was to take some really finely shredded cheddar cheese and put into the batter. And it doesn't give it a cheesy flavor, and you're not going to get strings of cheese, but it helps keep that moisture in there. But you don't want to do a lot because you don't want to condense it some. And so occasionally I sneak a little bit of cheese into my cornbread at home, just so that, it does help release some more of that moisture. Or if you're going to heat it up, maybe put like a dampened paper towel or something so that that moisture goes back into it if you do have to reheat it.
Right.
I do that with onions at home, actually. Just like mince up some onions and maybe like jalapenos or something. It ends up tasting kind of like a really good hush puppy.
Yes.
But it keeps it, like the onions definitely keep it from drying out.
That moisture's the same thing too, so yeah.
And the cheese technique sounds great, but it would unveganize our vegan cornbread.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can get vegan cheese, but I'm not sure that it would do the same.
Yeah.
So you'll notice, like when we were pouring this in here, the butter was all around the bottom of the pan, and you swirled it around onto the top, and it almost looks like a giant cookie because it's got that beautiful brownness to it. And so that is kind of the purpose of mixing it up and then letting the butter kind of envelop. Oh, and it smells good. I got close to it. I can
Yeah,
smell
you
it.
can smell it.
When I plate it, I like to do, if I can, like get people a piece of the, because we usually do 2 chunks, rustic chunks, a piece of the outside that has that crust, and then
That's
a
the
piece
best
of like
part.
the softer inside.
The
Because
crust
that
part.
earth balance, it gets like such a nice like salty crust around the edge with
Oh,
the
yeah.
sweetness. It's good.
And that's good for the sopping part too.
Yeah.
You need
Oh,
that
yeah.
crusty part. So
Yeah, with the bean relish that we put on top, it has like a little bit of liquid that'll soak into the cornbread.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so let's plate this up, and you can tell us a little bit more about the whole plated deal, which is what they were serving the bites of at the Cornbread Festival that won. And this is an entree that you offer on your dinner menu. So we'll get going with that, and then we have a dessert to talk about too. And so we're just covering the whole entire gamut of what y'all have at the Root, and some fun stuff in Soma.
That's right. There's a lot going on.
All right, so we're going to get that ready, and we'll be right back after another quick break.
Named one of 5 secret foodie cities by Forbes Travel Guide, Little Rock has a thriving artisanal food scene, great restaurants, and a growing number of craft breweries. Request a vacation planning kit at littlerock.com and see why we say dining is better with a Southern accent.
Welcome back to kind of part 3 of this week's episode with The Root, where we are going to, this has been like the anticipation is killing me the whole time. I tried this burger a while ago. Primo. This smell is just amazing. Tell us a little bit more about this dish as you are going to plate it up, and I'm super excited to try this.
So I guess I'll just start plating and I'll explain everything as I go. This is a Pimentel Vinaigrette, which is like smoked paprika, a Spanish smoked paprika. And we'll put kind of a, I just do this like fancy little thing on the bottom, but it doesn't matter either way. And then we'll put 2 kind of odd shaped.
I like that you're just like, let's just get a couple of spoonfuls.
Just dig it out.
Yeah,
Throw
just
it
dig
on
it
there.
out.
That way,
so
I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, and I like the way that it looks with what it is. The dish is just kind of like a rustic, vegan comfort food. And then these are our slow braised collard greens that we braise them in. I'll cook some onions and then add the collards and then vinegar and then some house-made stock, so it has like a really deep flavor and it cooks for a long time. And then on top of that is our purple whole pea relish. That's
and that's a cold relish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and it's got a bunch of purple peas and red peppers, onions, lots of vinegar and sugar. So it's a little sweet, but also like tangy from the vinegar.
Gotcha.
And then the star of the show. These are our, we pickle these mushrooms in, it's like a yellow mustard and apple cider vinegar, garlic, a bunch of different stuff. We pickle them and then we smoke them so they take on a really nice like barbecue flavor. And then we deep fry them for about a minute. So they're not like super fried, but we just throw them in there to get a little crispy.
Gotcha. Give you a little bit different texture in your bites there. And
then just scatter them all over the plate. Sometimes we'll finish it with like some cilantro. Cilantro goes really well with it. That's pretty much it.
It looks great.
So it just should taste like a really good like barbecue plate, but it's completely vegan and gluten-free. So.
Vegan, gluten-free barbecue plate. I'm going to scooch this over so we can push this out. I want everybody at home to get a really good look at this. So if I'm looking for this on your menu, what is the exact name of it?
The shiitake.
I think smoked shiitakes.
Smoked shiitakes, yeah.
So
I never look at the menu.
The smoked well, you're in the back cooking all this stuff. So the smoked shiitakes, and it will be served out on this cornbread with, just like this. And then we also have a really good dessert here that you can get at the Root, and I've tried this one before. When you said the smoked graham crackers for the crust, I was like, that's the one I had, because I was like, I've got to try this. It sounds so interesting. So tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to dig in here.
Good. I was hoping you would say that.
I'm starving. Yeah.
This is probably our my most popular dessert, just because I mean, who doesn't like s'mores and cheesecake?
Right.
All of it together. And it took a lot of a trial and error to get like this recipe the way that I wanted it. So I'm actually really proud of it. Like you said, the graham crackers I smoke before just making a standard graham cracker crust, and then bake just a classic cheesecake layer. And then I'll put on top of that is like a layer of chocolate mousse. And the chocolate, so the chocolate we use for like the chocolate chip cookies, and it's so good, super rich. Like I can't remember what type of chocolate it is.
It's a Calabo is the brand name of the chocolate, but it's
just like a really
very
rich
nice,
dark chocolate.
bittersweet chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
And then it has a marshmallow meringue layer on top. And then I toast it to order, and I'm gonna do that. Hopefully this will work. That way, when it goes to the table, it really is like a gooey s'more.
So because that's marshmallow, you can see there that it just browns up so nicely.
And the caramelized sugar just smells really good too.
Just like bring the campfire to the cheesecake.
Yeah,
that's
instead of the
exactly
cheesecake to the
right.
campfire.
And sometimes whenever we have, because we have rosemary growing outside of the Root, and the blossoms are really pretty. It's just tiny little purple flowers. And I like to scatter those on there because it just kind of tastes like woodsy. Just a few of those like mixed in. But then that's it.
That's beautiful. All right, so if you've not been to the Root, I highly encourage you to get down there on South Main. Y'all are between 14th and 15th?
We're on the corner of 15th and Main.
On the corner of 15th and Main. You really can't miss it. You've got a nice
That's
little
right.
parking lot area.
Well, I wore my shirt here. This is from the mural that's right next to the Root. It's vegetables in space, and you'll see this strawberry here along with the cornbread icon, Cosmo, the cornbread man.
Who looks very much like this.
Singing to the vegetables. That's exactly right, yeah. So you can't miss that. And then while you're down there, you'll see lots of other great stuff like the Essie Purse Museum, the Green Corner Store. We've got several antique and vintage shops.
Oh, yeah.
Boulevard Bread Company's right across the street, and Loblolly just opened their ice cream shop. So
yeah,
there's so much going on.
Lots of stuff to do in South Main every day, but also encourage you to come to the Cornbread Festival. If you've got some cornbread, please prepare your recipe. And one last thing, you have another event that's coming up in April.
That's right. We do a traditional pie bake-off and recipe swap every April. This year it's going to be April 29th. It's a Sunday. It's the last day of the Arkansas Literary Festival, and they actually help sponsor, and it's an official literary festival event. So if you like to make pies or know someone who likes to make pies, you can bake your best pie or your best two pies and bring them to the Root on April 29th. It's at 4 p.m. And we set up all the pies on a long table, and judges look at them. They score them based on their appearance, beautiful appearance, and then the judges get a bite of each pie. They taste them, they rate them. We award 5 blue ribbons. We award 5 red ribbons. We also award a Best in Show trophy. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance, and then afterwards everyone can go and sample the pies and taste them. And most of the bakers bring their recipes, and so they actually swap recipes with other bakers and get some new ideas.
That's really cool.
One of our blue ribbons from last year was actually from Monica Chatterton. She made some beautiful strawberry flake babies. They're like homemade Pop-Tarts. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And you can get them from her. She bakes them at home as well. So
it's a lot of fun. The savory pies are always really fun. I wish that there were more. So if you're watching, you
that's right. Savory
always
pies.
enter savory.
Yeah, savory pies usually do well because sometimes there'll be like 24 sweet pies and one savory pie, and then you're like, obviously the savory pie really stands out in the crowd.
Right.
And then you feel like you're eating a balanced meal.
Right.
It's just all pie.
24 bites of sweet pie and then one bite of like a steak pie or something like that.
Very good. Okay, great. Well, thank y'all so much again. I'm ready. Let's all dig in. We got an extra fork for our cameraman back here who's doing such good work for us too. So thank you so much.
You just dive in there, Diana, and give it a try.
Make
sure you get one of those mushrooms.
Yes, and I want some of those greens.
The greens are really good too.
Hope that cornbread turned out good.
Yeah, it looks good.
That's beautiful cornbread. The flavor's great. Those mushrooms really do taste like barbecue. It's amazing to me what people have done with regard to vegan food, and I think a lot of people think if you're going to eat that lifestyle, then you're really just in a very small, narrow box of what you can do, and it keeps people from exploring vegan dishes. You don't have to be a vegan to enjoy a vegan dish like this. And so I always like it when someone comes here and they've got a really unique way to cook up something that's vegan, and I mean, you don't even care. You're not missing anything. I think that's what makes that lifestyle difficult for some people, is they feel like they're going to be missing out.
Yeah.
Right.
And the gluten-free, we've had a lot of people requesting that.
So good.
I love the peas. My favorite.
All right, everybody. I'm ready for dessert.
Yep.
Me too.
I'm gonna take. I don't want my.
I can't do it. I've eaten so much s'mores cheesecake in my life already.
You burn out on it.
More for us.
I might actually do it.
Is that the one?
That's the one I had. It was so good. I've had this in the restaurant. I practically had to roll out to the car after that meal. This is super creamy and rich. And you've got the top and the bottom, so the smoky, and it's not overwhelming at all. And then where you've just browned that on top, that it really reminds you of that.
That beautiful crust, and the cheesecake, and the chocolate mousse.
And you could tell that this is like for real homemade cheesecake. It's dense like a cheesecake should be, but not so dense and compacted like the pre-made kind are, where it's almost like eating feta You know, it's so thick, and so this is very, very delicious. So thank you.
I can say without any bias that that's my favorite dessert in town.
No bias.
No bias at all. I mean, it's so delicious, and
He
there's
eats
so
it
much
every
thought
time he
goes
comes
into it.
to dinner.
Yeah.
It's true.
I can
It's
see.
really great.
It is so good, and I'm not a big dessert eater, but it's beautiful. It tastes exactly right. It's not overwhelmingly sweet, but it does satisfy that. This has been great, y'all. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going to the Cornbread Festival. Try to get down to the pie contest and see what that's about. I think that's just such a super cool idea, and I encourage everybody. I'm going to make it an effort to eat at the Root as much as I can. And I'm downtown a lot, so it should be pretty easy.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks for having us.
Thank
A lot of
y'all.
fun.
Appreciate it. Y'all tune in for next week's episode of Chop the Rock. Thanks for watching.